I'm going to start with the moment that knocked the crown off my head. A poor waitress slapped a rich man so hard, the whole restaurant forgot how to breathe. Here's the question that still burns my throat. What do you do when the truth arrives in the shape of a hand across a face, and your ego is sitting at the next table pretending to be a king? Victoria Island. Friday night, soft music, expensive glassware. Doing that quiet little clink, people pay extra for the air, smelling like pepper soup and money. I walked in like I owned the lighting, the floor, the future. Then I saw her. Small frame, tired eyes, tray balanced, like it was part of her body, not a hint of apology in the way she moved. Kioma. Remember that name. She passed a brash customer near the entrance. He stretched his legs, she stumbled, soup sloshed near his shiny shoes, and the man barked like he bought the ground. Are you blind? Do you know how much these shoes cost? He didn't stop at the shoes, he went for her dignity, village girl uniform voice like rust. She held it one beat too. Then her palm met his cheek, pa. The room went silent, and I swear even the chandeliers paused. I laughed first. Not because humiliation is funny, but because the truth in that slap knocked something loose inside me. She didn't even look at me, just squared up, balanced the tray again, walked like backbone was a birthright. And right then, two things woke up in me. Respect and the old monster that ruins men who've never been told no. My friends were with me, the loud ones. The ones who treat boredom like a fire to throw money at. You know the type. Uche leaned in with that grin that always meant trouble. Tunda slapped the table. Kunle started daring me like we were still in college, but with bigger wallets. Before dessert, those three little fools stacked their cash in the air. Marry the waitress, prove you can win any heart you point at $1 million each if I pull it off. Stupid comes dressed like entertainment, that's how it sneaks in. I raised my glass and said the line I'd chew on for months. To Kioma, my future wife, though she doesn't know it yet. Do you hate me already? You should. Because I wasn't playing with a number, I was playing with a person. Next night I tried charm. Voice low posture. Easy eyes. Kind. The whole thing people said I did well. She didn't give me a millimeter. If you want to talk, talk quick, customers are waiting. I tossed out a light joke, she let half a smile escape, then snatched it back like it cost rent. My pride took a bruise, my interest doubled. That's how ego lies to you, tells you obsession is romance. I kept coming back. At first for the chase, then for the way the room felt different when she moved through it, calm but alive. She had boundaries, real ones, not the performative kind. She never flirted to sell a dessert, never pretended my money was her son. One day I joked that if I worked there, I'd eat half the orders before they reached the table, and she actually laughed, tiny, reluctant, honest. It felt like winning without cheating. I didn't know I needed that. Little islands of conversation between orders turned into a map. Enugu childhood father gone at 13, mother gone at 20, Lagos after that, with grief in one hand and grit in the other. Surulere apartment, single room, lavender dress, ironed flat, notebook of thoughts she wouldn't let me read. She told me survival can be holy when you do it with dignity. I told her about my company, the headlines people liked, the numbers that made investors clap. I left out the nights the winds wouldn't let me sleep. First date. Her rules, a quiet spot near her place, grilled fish fan humming like an old friend. No spectacle, no audience. We didn't posture, we listened, and the silence between us didn't feel empty, it felt honest. You know what I mean? When the act drops and the real person shows up and you suddenly realize how tired your performance has made you. Then it happened, not the bet, the other thing. We were on my balcony and Lekki city lights laid out like a promise, and I went down on one knee. Yes, I know you're thinking, That's when you confess, that's when you draw the poison out. I didn't. I told myself we were past it, that the dare was dust, and this was love. She said yes with tears in her eyes and a hand over her mouth, and my heart did something it hadn't done in years. It softened. The problem with soft hearts is they can still be carrying hard lies. The wedding was a spectacle. White and gold, talking drums, roses taller than some of my bad decisions, the kind of event that turns strangers into photographers. She walked like Grace had a dress code. I felt 10 feet tall and 2 inches small at the same time. At the reception, my friends circled like they'd been paid to ruin the vibe. Our $1 million groom, how does it feel? Collect your bag and call it a day. I said not today, through a tight smile. And across the hall, my wife laughed with somebody's anti-laughter so pure it made that shame settle in my throat and refuse to budge. Honeymoon suite. Candles, champagne, a room built by a marketing team that knows how to sell forever. My phone buzzed like it had bad news hiding in it. I turned it off. We kissed like we were the only 2 people left in Lagos, and I promised myself I'd make the call tomorrow, I'd kill the bet, I'd put everything on the table. Tomorrow is a magician, it will make a fool of you if you let it. Weeks later, here's your twist. I was in the shower. My phone started buzzing and wouldn't stop. She picked it up, the messages opened like a trap door, and our whole house dropped. Just collect your 1 million guy you won already, stop pretending. She read, she scrolled, she found the jokes, the voice notes, the casual way people talk about other people's lives when they're bored. She didn't scream. Not at first. She went quiet the way a storm goes quiet before it changes your neighborhood forever. When I stepped out with water in my hair and a stupid, hopeful look in my eye, she asked one question. Tell me it's not true. Tell me our vows weren't a dare. I tried to speak. I tried to throw words at a fire that needed water, and what came out was silence. Silence is the loudest confession in the world. She threw the phone against my chest, and grief finally made a sound I can still hear in empty rooms. She left with a small bag, and a straight spine didn't slam a single door. If it were you, what would you have done? Would you have left too? This is the part nobody sees in the movies. Letters with smudged ink sentences rewritten until they stopped sounding like a defense attorney was holding the pen. Not grand bouquets, simple flowers she actually liked. A book she mentioned one tired afternoon. A playlist with apologies that didn't need language. I didn't chase her down the street. I didn't set up a hat-in-hand proposal in a public place for clout. I gave space because respect arrived late. I didn't touch the money. Not 1 naira, not $1. I never had truth be told. But until she found those messages, I hadn't had the courage to say it out loud, because I knew not taking the prize doesn't make the game noble, it just makes the lie quieter. The real damage wasn't numbers, it was trust. It was the way someone's chest tightens when your phone lights up and they wonder who owns your promises. One evening I went to a small cafe where she'd told me about her mother selling fruit by the roadside. She sat curled around a cup like warmth was something you could hold on to. I didn't sit until she nodded. I told her the beginning was rotten, and the middle had turned real, and those 2 truths were fighting inside me like dogs. I told her the bet was over for me the night she made me laugh without trying. I told her I hadn't taken the money, not then, not ever, and that I didn't want to win anymore if winning meant losing her. She said nothing for a long time, then she said the only honest sentence a wounded person can give. You hurt me, I don't know if I can trust you. I said the only honest sentence the guilty can answer with. I know I'll spend the rest of my life earning it. Stick around because what happened next will blow your mind. I invited her to dinner at my house, no staff, no show, Just warm light and her favorite dishes the way she liked them. The spice level she once laughed about when she said, "Good jollof tastes like a good day after a bad morning." I put my phone face up on the table, new habit, new rule. No more secrets, I said. No more performance. If something embarrasses me, it belongs in the light even more. She searched my face like she was looking for the man who broke her heart, and the man who could be trusted with it, and both of those men were standing there. "I won't lie to you. I want to believe you," she said, "but belief doesn't grow on command. Then I'll give it water and time." That week I made the call I should have made on the wedding night. "Keep your money," I told my friends. "The bet is dead. Don't call me about it. Don't joke about it. Don't make it part of our story anymore." Silence. Uche let out a laugh that sounded smaller than usual. "Tunde made a joke that had a little respect in it," Kunle said. "Congrats," in a voice I didn't recognize, maybe his grown man voice. It wasn't forgiveness, it was an ending, and endings can be holy. I wish I could tell you that solved everything. It didn't. Trust doesn't come back because you cooked a nice dinner and returned a ghost payout. We built slowly from splinters we refused to throw away. We made small rules. Phone on the counter when we're together, say where you are, and when you'll be back. Not because a warden is keeping time, but because transparency is a love language when you've broken it. I listened more than I spoke. I learned that apologies are verbs, not nouns, and that patience is the rent you pay when you've lived in someone's heart for free. One afternoon, I found her notebook on the coffee table, the one she used to close the second I got curious. I didn't open it. I sat with it like it was a sleeping child. She walked in, saw it untouched, tore out a page, folded it, put it in my hand. "Read this one." It was about the slap, what it feels like when someone yanks your dignity by the collar, how anger can be the last clean thing you own when people keep trying to steal your name. I cried. Quietly, but the kind of quiet crying that changes you. She moved back in with a toothbrush before she moved in with a suitcase. We didn't restage our vows, we made breakfast. We argued about shelves. We laughed about a burned batch of plantains. We left the dishwasher open once and learned to close it like grown-ups. I started funding hospitality scholarships without putting our names on anything. She said, "Let the help be the headline," and I listened. We host small dinners where the fanciest person in the room is whoever needs a seat the most. Here's the part that might start a fight in your comments. Can a love that began with a lie become fully true? Or is it always a repaired vase, beautiful but cracked if you look close enough? Do you think that's fair to ask someone to risk their heart on a second try when you didn't deserve the first? Some people will say no, and I won't argue with them. Some people will say, people change. And I hope they're right, because I'm betting my whole life they are. We still talk about that day sometimes, not to reopen the wound, but so the scar doesn't start lying. She explains how betrayal lives in the body. The stomach drops, the heart races, the way laughter feels suspicious for a while. I tell her how pride steals from the winner. Most of all, how it hands you trophies and takes your soul. We don't glamorize the pain, we tell the truth about it, so it doesn't have to sneak around anymore. And if you're wondering, did I ever take the money? I'll say it again, no. But refusing dirty money doesn't make a dirty beginning clean. The sin shouted even without cash in my hand. What made the difference wasn't a refund, it was repentance, not a word I use lightly. It looked like phone calls you don't want to make, honesty that costs boundaries, that end friendships you outgrew, and a new daily habit of telling the truth before it asks to be told. I'll leave you with this. We went back to that same restaurant one night, not for nostalgia, for closure. A customer snapped his fingers at a waitress like she was an app, and the old anger rose in me. I stood up. I didn't make a scene, I didn't play hero. I just tipped big, quiet, told the manager that respect isn't optional in rooms that charge this much for dessert. The waitress looked at me, then looked past me at my wife, because somehow she knew who the authority on dignity was at our table. My wife nodded once, small, and the room learned something without a policy change. Yeah, that happened. And I'm still earning it one unglamorous choice at a time. Now it's your turn. Was forgiveness the right call here, or did we just put a pretty frame around a cracked picture? If it were you, what would you have done when the phone lit up and the truth refused to stay quiet? Would you walk or would you rebuild? Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your story. If you've been on either side of a lie like this, push back. If you need to agree, if you want to, but say something. Drop your take in the comments. Share this with someone who needs the reminder that power without humility is just noise. And if you stayed till the end, thank you. I'm listening.